Well, it has been a tough 2 days for us as Detroit Lions fans, coming off that loss that we have to quickly get over, just like our team does, and is on the face to face the Atlanta Falcons. But today we had a few roster moves that we did expect coming, especially after we heard the news about James Houston and CJ Gardner-Johnson. And that is both those individuals coming from Detroit Lions Twitter. The Detroit Lions have placed cornerback CJ Gardner-Johnson and defensive end James Houston on injured reserve. Now, it didn't say season-ending injured reserve, which means that you're looking at 4 games minimum. And then I think they have to make a decision after that 4 games whether or not they will go to season-ending IR or be brought back up to the active roster. Now, what this did, though, is we knew this was coming. CJ Gardner-Johnson is probably going to be out for the season. If it's a torn pec, that usually leads to you being out for the season. He did say he wants to try to come back to the playoffs or for the playoffs and try to pull a Aaron Rodgers. But James Houston is the one like you're not too sure about. Initial reports were 6 to 8, but that was without surgery. Now with surgery, it could be sooner, but he's still going to have recovery time. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's not out for the season. 6 to 8, that's already week 9. And you're talking about rehab and all that stuff and to get back. So I think that my personal opinion is that he is done for the season. But we knew those were coming, and those moves were to get 2 individuals up to our active roster. Now, I don't have the tweet pulled up, but offensive lineman Coyote Awasika, he has been brought up to the 53-man roster, and running back Bam Knight has been added to the 53-man roster for an dinged up David Montgomery. Now, David Montgomery not being on IR is big news. That means he's not going to miss. The Detroit Lions don't expect him to miss 4 weeks, but he's going to be out. Dan Campbell was kind of to make it seem like 2 to 4, right? So that's some good news. But Bam, in the meantime, is going to have to carry the load, him, Jahmyr Gibbs. And it's kind of ironic that we face the Atlanta Falcons, who picked the first running back in the draft, right? And then we picked Jahmyr Gibbs, which was the second, and we completely expect him to get more touches today or in week 3. So this is going to be kind of intriguing to see the battle of the 2 first-round running backs, Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs. But in addition to bringing those 2 people up from the practice squad, that created some space on the practice squad. And because of that, I believe that the Detroit Lions brought a few folks in to have some tryouts. Now I have to find whatever I did with this thing. Just give me 1 second because I had to pull it up and then I lost it, but we got it back. All right, now, unfortunately, you are not going to be able to see this, but I'm going to bring it in anyway, and I'll just read from my phone who these people are. According to Tom Pelissero, the Detroit Lions brought in Mitchell Agrud. He's from a linebacker from Miami. They brought in Chris Jackson, a defensive back from Marshall. Nate McCrary from Saginaw State Valley. Darius Phillips, a defensive back from Western Michigan. And Nate is a running back. Baylor, they brought in Abram Smith. He's a running back. Jordan Smith, a linebacker from Alabama, Birmingham. And Kenny Willekes from Michigan State. He's a defensive end. So those are the tryouts that were held by the Detroit Lions today. Sorry, you couldn't see it. I couldn't blow it up anymore. So my guess is that with the 2 spots created on the practice squad now, these players will replace the players that were just moved up. CJ Gardner-Johnson and James Houston on IR. Not season ending as of yet, but we probably expect that coming a little later. But probably the Detroit Lions are going to wait to make that official down the line. It's unfortunate, but we've come to a point of next man up. This is a game of 100% injury. People are going to get hurt, and that's why you need that depth when it comes to. That's why the depth is so important when it comes to a team going the distance, because you have to have somebody that's able to step up and be able to make somewhat of an impact in order to keep, that there's not that much drop off between the person that got hurt and CJ Gardner-Johnson. I'm not going to talk about what Tracy Walker is not, but Tracy Walker is solid. He's a solid piece. He was a starter last year. He got injured, therefore bumped out. CJ Gardner-Johnson kind of came in and was playing everywhere. And now Tracy Walker tweeted today, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So he's looking forward to having this opportunity and making the most of it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Sad news overall, but I guess the silver lining in that is that David Montgomery was not placed on that short-term IR. So that means that we're probably looking at the lower half of the 2 to 4. So maybe 2 weeks and then he can come back. So that's good news. And any day now, any week, Emmanuel Mosley should be back. Dan Campbell kind of made it seem like week 2 he was close, but they didn't put him on short-term IR, which means you would expect him to be back before week 5. So if we don't see him in week 3, you would assume that we would see him by week 4. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.